It's not easy to make a living as an artist. Feast and famine, you're never sure how long the good times will last, and you worry about having enough time to do the things you really want to do, the things you think are important, the things that might leave a mark on the future. Just keeping body and soul together can make this even more challenging. You have to spend time on things besides your art just to stay alive. This takes time away from your art, which makes progress slower. It's very difficult to balance. It's been very challenging for me at times. There have been some very lean years, a lot of missed meals. During one of the bad times, a friend got me a part-time gig, working for a farm auctioneer, just grunt labor, carrying furniture, whatever. Sometimes so it could be sold, sometimes so the building it was in could be sold. This was west of Toronto. Good farmland that was being bulldozed into awful subdivisions. There were a lot of old family farms that couldn't hold on anymore. A lot of vanished prosperity. But one job in particular sticks with me. Officially, the city of Mississauga is totally developed. No more open land to be had. Done. Built. The only place you can build is up. But we go to this address in the north end of Mississauga, and it's like something out of a movie. In the middle of this industrial park. Totally developed, again, pavement, condos, past a line of trees, past a ditch. You go down this rutted dirt track across a temporary steel bridge, and you see this 3-story late Victorian brick mansion, an Edwardian manor. 80 acres in the middle of the city. Just a barn and a few outbuildings in the middle of fields that have grown up into forests. The man who died, who owned the place, he'd outlived his wife, his children. I don't know if he had any children, but he had no direct heirs, just distant relatives. The auctioneer had known him when he was alive, and he said, "No, there's just a bunch of people who want money." Everything in the house was to be removed. The property had been sold to the city somehow, and his heirs had sold or pilfered his guns, his appliances, his vehicles, but everything else was to be dragged out and tossed. It was made clear that anything we wanted, the laborers, anything we wanted, we could take. Now understand, the house was completely full of his effects. Books, bric-a-brac, clothes, camping gear, roll-top desks, suitcases, 4-post king bed where he finally succumbed to his illness. I took his clay pigeons, his sextant, his drafting tools. A dozen other guys grabbed what they could use. But we still filled 2 construction bins with furniture and file cabinets and books and clothes and photo albums, all tossed in the bin in the pouring rain. I don't even know his name, but we shared many interests. He had the money to actually pursue them, though. There were documents on his desks for bad loans he'd given friends in 6-7 figures. But aside from these effects, I don't know anything about him. He liked to sail, liked to shoot. He had money. But whether he was a kind man or a hard one, how he treated his dogs, what he liked to drink, what made him laugh, I'll never know. And this was an important man from a once powerful family. The ballroom had been stripped for remodeling years earlier, but then he fell ill. Ballroom, I told you, it was a mansion. But it had stayed that way. Bare floorboards, blank plaster. But there were stacks of books by the blocked-up fireplace where the bookshelves had been. The books were so old they'd been there when the room was still hosting balls. I should have grabbed them all, but I only took a couple. I took a famous biography of Napoleon, a copy of The Foxes of Harrow, a sketchbook of 18th century nudes, and I took these. Most of a 1929 sourcebook encyclopedia. There's some fascinating entries. As much as we've learned since then, it's obvious how much we're forgetting. The quality of the writing, the intellect that put these together. There's clearly no social media to fry their brains. Not even television, not even radio, hardly any mass media at all. This is a product of the mind that's built by print and dip pens. You can flip through it and learn without even trying. Well, so check this out. The Giant of the Skyscrapers. Giant of the Skyscrapers. Woolworth Building, New York. The great building towers 225 feet higher than Washington Monument. Height, 780 feet. Number of stories, 55. 206 million pounds. 40 acres of floor area, 80,000 electric lights, 43 miles of plumbing, 28 elevators, combined height of elevator shafts, 2 miles. What wondrous things they can build in 1929. Or his biography. Norris Frank, 1870-1902. American novelist, born in Chicago, Illinois. Studied art in Paris, 1887 to 1889. Studied literature at the University of California and at Harvard. 1891, his first novel, Iberville, dealing with Spanish life in Old California, appeared. 8 years later, his novel McTeague attracted public attention. Correspondent in South Africa during the Jameson Raid. Edited San Francisco Wave, 1896-97. War correspondent, Cuba, 1898. 2 years later published Moran of the Lady Letty. 1901 appeared The Octopus, first volume of a trilogy, followed by The Pit. Third volume, The Wolf, outlined but left incomplete at the time of his death. Look at the quality of this book. Embossed and gilded cover. Painted edges. Think of the effort that went into producing this. And Norris was important enough to be put in here. War correspondent, editor. Several published novels. He was a big deal. He was still a big deal in 1929. Have you ever heard of Frank Norris? I haven't. I read a lot. This biography is not even 100 years old. Now, I don't mean he was significant. He wasn't. He made a big splash in his life. And now he's forgotten. Old men forget, yet all shall be forgot. What'll be left of you when you're gone? I like tobacco. I like cigars for the immediate effect, the pleasure it gives in the moment. That might not be good for me. But if I never smoke another cigar, will I live forever? I lift weights to stay healthy, to stay strong, to slow the erosion of age, the wear of active life. With no exercise, my life would be worse and likely shorter. But if I get strong enough, if I take the right supplements, if I eat the perfect diet, will I get younger? What are we working towards? What are you doing with your life? I don't mean you should stop wasting time and go try and be a big shot. Whatever you do, whatever luck you have, however hard you grind, whatever you accomplish, your name and all your deeds will be totally forgotten. 20,000 years ago, there were people living, human beings just like you. We don't know a single one of their names. 20,000 years from now, no one will know any of our names. If Elon Musk puts us on Mars, we won't remember. He'll have the same legacy as any of us, just an inference in the genetic code. So right now is about all the time you have. Think about how you want to spend it. Pay careful attention to what you expect to get back in return for the sacrifices you're making. Whatever you're doing, do it as well as you can. Today. Make things around you better. Today. Try and add some beauty to the world. Every day, focus on putting quality into your work. Every day, do what you can with what you have. Perform the duty which lies nearest thee. And you really can forget about tomorrow.